Hi everyone. I had to delete my last live because I couldn't even talk. I heard something really disturbing on TikTok. I saw an MK Ultra video and was reminded of some of the most evil, reprehensible practices of engaging in trauma-based mind control that I have ever fucking heard in my life. The only reason, and I mean the only reason, that I would even think to reshare that video is because people have to know and understand that it's not this world that's evil. You understand? I say that this world is evil, but the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter how old you get, you assume the rest of the world is like you. And it takes a video like that MK Ultra video to make people realize, no, the world is not like you. No, the world is not in your image. Wake the fuck up. So I am going to share it, as traumatizing as it is. I am going to share that MK Ultra video. And to supplement that MK Ultra video, I'm going to explain my own understanding of it. Now, trauma-based mind control for many targeted individuals, or for anybody, even for people who just love conspiracy theories, trauma-based mind control is nothing new. There is a reason why, as a targeted individual, you go through abuse on every level of your being: sexual, physical, emotional, financial. Any form of abuse that can be used against you is used against you. And the reason why this is practiced is because when you sustain so much trauma that your heart rate elevates, like that woman explained in the video, there is a split in your psyche. Now, what I have noticed is that the most brutal form of these practices are usually reserved for the most vulnerable or the most marginalized people in order to ensure effectiveness in this regard, right? So you're subjected to this abuse and constant torture for the purposes of splitting your psyche. I explained on Empress Justice Tarot, I made a post on Empress Justice Tarot, that binaries were more powerful and more destructive than we might think. This goes back to alchemy. If you take something apart and you pull it apart into two different pieces, and then you slam them back together in a way that suits you, then you create something new entirely. And that's exactly what MK Ultra does. When you are severely traumatized, whenever you sustain any kind of trauma, this is what people don't understand, right? Your spiritual body and your physical body separates just that little bit further. They don't split completely, because if they split completely, that's when you die, right? When your astral body or your energetic body splits entirely from your physical body, you're dead. Because that astral body, that energetic field, is not just responsible for mapping you out, or that energetic body that you have is not just responsible for helping you to identify yourself or helping you to feel your surroundings or what have you. That energetic field that all of us have is actually there for a reason. It's there to heal us. Every single thing about the human body is designed to heal and replace the cells that have been lost. And the energetic body is no different. The energetic body, when a person is sick, there's a reason why you don't get as much light surrounding them. It's because the energetic body has separated itself in order to heal you. It's when that energetic body cannot heal you from its position, that's when you die. What MK Ultra trauma-based mind control does is, from the rip, it separates that energetic body from your physical body. So you are constantly vulnerable all the time. And when that happens, it's not just NLP or voice to skull, or, weaponized frequencies that can cause you to become vulnerable, you can also become vulnerable to spiritual attack as well. So that trauma serves a function. When you are traumatized, you are split between two types of people. I've witnessed it in many perps of mine and in other TIs as well. There are two distinct characters in some TIs. The one character is corporeal, which means they're reptilian. They have animal instincts or animal drives that drive them. So their conscience is limited. Their sense of right and wrong is limited because it's all corporeal. It's all based on feeling and physical sensation, which doesn't have morality, and it doesn't have judgment, and it doesn't have morality. So the physical and the emotional, the corporeal, forms one part of the victim's identity. That is the part that has no morality and has no judgment. And then there's a split between that side and the energetic side, which is where all your thoughts go, which is where your actions are, which is, basically your so-called divine self. That energetic field is your divine self. That's the other part of your character. That's the higher part of your character. Now, if you notice, positive emotions and positive actions are more high vibrational. The high vibrational stuff is more in line with your energetic self, which is constantly encouraging you to do the right thing, to be loving, to be forgiving, to be kind. These MK Ultra victims, when they are engaged with that light side of their being, they are some of the kindest, most, even some perps, because some perps are MK Ultra victims now. Some of these people who have been split in two, they can be the kindest, most genuinely healing people on the face of the planet. So there's always this battle going on between these two sides of themselves. And with these two sides of themselves, the abusers can manipulate the midpoint in between those two sides with subliminal messaging, with the unconscious part, right? So they can manipulate the middle path between your primal self and your energetic self with neurolinguistic programming, with spiritual attacks, with electronic warfare, with psychological warfare, with all of these things to program you into being an efficient machine for whoever it is that's enslaving you. It's like I said before, in alchemy, you split things apart. You see a creation right in front of you, and you take it apart. You take the components apart so that you can put the components back together as something else. That is the purpose of trauma-based mind control. It's something that targeted individuals are going through right now. But what targeted individuals are going through, depending on how valuable the targeted individual is, it varies in terms of how much brutality is inflicted on the target. And thus, it varies in how split a person becomes between their more corporeal selves and their more divine selves. I always make it a point to stay in the middle and to not try to be either an evil person or a good person. I try my very best to stay in the middle as much as possible, because when you're not watching the middle and you're not staying in the middle and you're not using your discernment in order to decide when is the time to risk that karmic retribution and when it's the time to be on the right side, when you don't use that discernment, other elements can come in and dictate to you exactly how you should behave and when and what you should do. That's why it's important to stay on the middle path. For everyone, it's important to stay on the middle path, because when you're in the middle path, you're not as easily corrupted. But again, in this world, binaries are powerful. Red, blue, white, black, fucking evil, good. Like, these dichotomies are there for a reason. They're there to split us in two so that we're not any the wiser when subliminal messaging affects us. That's the whole point of this abuse. And it's not even just electronic weaponry or voice to skull or any of that. It's not even any of that. It's not even nanobots. It's also how society is set up. It is set up to traumatize every single individual on this planet because it takes sustained trauma in order to create an enslaved society. In order to do that, it takes trauma. And like I said before, the more vulnerable or marginalized that somebody is, the more brutal it is likely to be, so that the brainwashing can be at its most effective. So everything that I've said about MK Ultra and, you know, everything that woman says, that brave soul who talked on that video about MK Ultra and what it does to people, she's absolutely spot on. It's a split that happens between your corporeal self, which is animalistic, and that energetic side, which is trying to heal your body. So it's like you almost have to go towards a light in so that you can maintain that healing. But again, this is how they play us. This is how they do us. They split us in two so that we don't know who we truly are and we can be influenced by anything and everything. That's how they get us. And again, what I'm describing is very, very tame in comparison to the video that I'm going to share to supplement this one. It's very fucking tame. It's horrific and it's traumatic and it's really, really bad. And there's big industry to be made from doing things like this. There's big industries to be made. That's why you see binaries everywhere in politics, in discussions of gender, in discussion. You see binaries everywhere. Those binaries are there for a reason. When people are kept split in two, they are more easily manipulated. That's why I don't think in binary. I know who I am and what I am. I know, you know, who I like and what I like. But I stay away from binaries strategically. I never get involved in somebody if I don't know the full issue yet. Because all of this is to brainwash you. Now, when you think about how much that trauma and that split in your psyche, when you think about how much that split in your psyche benefits every single industry on this planet, that's when everything starts to make sense, and that's when everything starts to become clear. And the reason why the vulnerable or the marginalized are met with the most brutality first is because they're the ones who are most in touch with the middle path. A child is going to be more in touch with the middle path than any adult, even if their brains haven't fully formed yet. And I'm sorry to say that certain cultures, the way that we've been raised, we're more in touch with the middle path than other cultures. Women are likely to be more in touch with the middle path than men are. And whoever is in touch with the middle path are, you know, they're outwardly more conciliatory, but inwardly they're more resistant to brainwashing. That's why it's like this. And I hate bringing this up. I really hate bringing this up because I hate bringing, this is the point where it's supposed to be strictly on the children, because the children are the ones who are being brutalized the most by this fucking enslavement shit. And yeah, I got to bring the marginalized into it. I got to bring all that into it because all of that plays into it. It's like I explained in the last video that I made, that bigotry and trafficking are intrinsically linked, because bigotry is part of the trauma. In fact, bigotry is the biggest example of trauma-based mind control that there actually is. Racism is trauma-based mind control. Sexism is trauma-based mind control. Homophobia, that whatever phobia you want to call it, that's trauma-based mind control. All of it. All of it. Trauma-based mind control. That's why when you got bigots out here who want to hate you but can't mind their business, they hate you and can't mind their business because the whole point of the trauma is to control you to whatever they want you to be. That's the whole point of it. But as horrible as what I've described is, it is nothing compared to what is being done to people in practice. It is disgusting. Now, I'm a targeted individual, so the trauma-based mind control with me is mainly inflicted psychologically, but it's also inflicted through electronic torture and electronic weaponry, like many targeted individuals in my position. What I go through is a less extreme version of what other TIs have gone through. But make no mistake, it's all trauma-based mind control. I'm sorry. I had to talk about this because it's worth understanding clearly exactly what's going on. And like I said before, to repeat it again, I said on my Empress Justice Tarot page, binaries are powerful. When you split something apart internally, you split something apart, you split the essence of something apart, and then you put it back together in your own making. That's literally the principles of alchemy that have been taken and used towards enslaving people. That's essentially what's happening here. The healthiest way is to be in between life and death, not life or death. You've got the energetic side of yourself, that's life. You've got the corporeal side of yourself, that's death. But we were always meant to be tertiary. We were also not tertiary. I don't think that's the right word. We were always meant to be in the middle of that in order to be complete beings. But splitting us apart, it makes us more malleable, like I said before. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna link the video. I'm gonna post the video everywhere. People need to understand exactly what's going on and how bad this shit gets. Yeah. I have splits too. The person that I was on the 15th is not the person that I was on, it's not the person that I am now. Trauma-based mind control. They're both me, don't get it twisted, but do you understand what I'm saying? So, yeah. And as for people who are going to talk about, well, what did they have back? What did they have back in the 1800s? We're not in the 1800s. Shut the fuck up. We're not in the 1800s. And even back then, they had spiritual rituals. They had means to create trauma within people. You seriously think they couldn't beat people up, torture people, drug people up, and then magically perform rituals to spiritually abuse those same people they traumatized? You seriously think they can't do that? You seriously think they couldn't do that at any time? In fact, they were more able to do that back then than they are now because there's less technology then, more nature, more to play with. Fuck. Yeah, so like anybody saying, oh, what about the 1800s? Or what about, how do people hear voices then? How do people, no, shut the fuck up. Like, trauma always has been and always will be an effective tool of splitting somebody's psyche open. And that trauma can lead to multiple different illnesses. Everybody knows this. So don't play crazy. Like everything that I'm saying is just some crazy conspiracy theory. Don't try and play crazy because you're just going to make yourselves look dumb. So anyway, I'm going to look for as many research points as I can, and post it in the links, post it in the description links, post it in the description of my videos. So I'm going to get as many reference points as I can, put them up there, and then you can make up your own mind as to what's going on. As for that MK Ultra video, it's very disturbing and I am so sorry. It is so traumatizing, but people really need to hear what's going on. Now, my fellow TIs, I love you guys. For the rest of you, wake the fuck up. Wake up. I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.